Welcome. This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Diego County. Today we are joined by Susan Davis. She is a member of the U.S. Congress representing significant portions of San Diego County. It's interesting, your staff provided us with some notes to consider for conversation, and they all deal at some level with children. What does that say?
Why is that?
Why is that, Susan Davis?
Yeah.
Talk to us about that theme that's before us.
Sure. Well, I suspect it's a lot of who I am.
Right.
I mean, I think that having children,
Right.
Having grandchildren,
Congratulations.
and being around community,
Right.
and I think as a school board member, I learned
Right.
something really special about being an elective office at that level, which I think is really a critical direction for the community, is that people care greatly about their children. That's the most important thing to them. And if you're working in an environment, and as a former social worker, as someone who trained to
Right.
be in social work, I always found that anything that involved children was emotional on the
Right.
one hand, but also something that was so important to them that they're willing to do just about anything to make life better for their kids.
And I'm thinking about other members of Congress, Judy Chu, yourself, starting on school boards and kind of growing up through the system. And
Yeah.
I can only imagine the exposure that those years gave to you and how it informs your work on the national level.
Well, I often tell young people that of all the offices that I've been privileged to have, actually the school board in many ways brought me closest to people. I used to spend my time in the evenings often, we didn't have staff, talking to parents and trying to help them negotiate the school experience for their child. And that wasn't easy for a lot of parents. And they would start yelling at me, and I would have to say to them, you know, sir, if you were yelling at the people at the school like that, they probably were having trouble helping you.
Right.
But let's start again, and let's make sure that we can help you get what you need out of this for your child. And they kind of, you know, it was a way of saying, you know, let's just stop for, you know, grab a breath and what do you want?
I
do you need?
want to talk about grabbing a breath when our sons and daughters graduate from college. Because so often they get pushed right on the fast track and they go from high school to college to law school to med school, and before you know it, they've had no time to live.
Yeah.
And what's becoming increasingly popular, and I have a 9th grader and a 7th grader, so it's kind of on my mind, is this notion of a gap year. Take a breath, take a break, and do something that will enrich you and others before you start your freshman year of college.
Yeah.
It's on your mind as well.
Well, it's very much on my mind. I think about it in some ways that 18 give 18 months, which
I like
isn't
it.
just giving, but it's also experiencing, exposing. And I think that what we would find if we can develop this and develop the infrastructure that's needed is that young people would have that breathing space. They'd learn a great deal. They would be able to sort of say, you know what, I thought I wanted to do this. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, but that's not where I think I want to go anymore, but I'd like to do this. And I think it would really help them mature. Everybody says that kids need a little bit more time. We're so focused on technology today, and it might even be more important when we need to build those kinds of relationships. And the thing that, for me, I think could be very persuasive in trying to work through this, and there are lots of great ideas out there. This is not just mine. There are a lot of great ideas. A lot of people have been thinking about this in a more natural, universal service way. But that I think you would cut the amount of time that people actually spend in college and then preparing for you know, whatever they want to do after that. Because we're finding now that kids are, you know, torn a little bit, not sure what they want to do. I think it would speed up, it would create the focus that's needed, and they'd be in a whole different spot than they were when they started.
I get it. I mean, you enter as a 17 or 18-year-old, you may take some classes that don't apply to your ultimate major, but if you have that year to breathe and think about where your path may take you, it makes all the sense in the world. This summer, I took my daughters with my wife to Spain, and we ran into some camp counselors of theirs, and they were there visiting after a tour on, I think it was AmeriCorps, which it's just they are school teachers. Is that
Yeah.
right? And they were sent to Alabama and were teaching in Alabama. It was not quite a gap year, but it was the same type of thing. It was a 2-year program. They said their lives will never be the same, and it was so enriching for them. And so can we take AmeriCorps experiences and maybe try to apply it to that high school gap year?
I think you would use AmeriCorps as a model. I think you would Teach for America is another
Teach
one.
for
I think
America, yes.
There are a lot of them. I mean, even the Peace Corps in some ways is a kind of model for this. But I think in order to scale it, in order to make it something that everybody thinks about, so by the time you are in your sophomore year, even you're thinking a little bit about that, I think you could provide programs in the summer. I think that there is a kind of reserve corps that's
fair enough, yeah.
that's being tested,
Right.
and that's good. The other thing that's so important with this is that right now students have so much debt. And if we can create in this country, our very rich country, a way that students would get credits for what they do,
right.
and in addition to that, there would be money set aside for them to go to college.
So
as well.
your vision, a national program? I guess it's still in the embryonic phase.
Well, I
but-
would love to see it as a national program. I think that there are others who are thinking about this in that way. It's difficult to do it probably across the country, and it would take quite a number of years. But I think that if we can develop within larger communities, I think San Diego County would be
indeed.
ideal. So students can participate within their region, but they also might be participating elsewhere, and then helping those communities to find a way to participate as well. So it would be the beginning of some kinds of exchanges. I think for young people to have a chance to experience a different part of the country before they're thinking about where do I want to go and spend, 4 years maybe in college. I think young people make great decisions today, but I hear this from so many people. We also know that civics education has been on the back burner, and how you could do so much around civic education while students are really finding how they want to give back to the community.
At the same time, I feel as if we have been so hyper-focused on getting every single child to college. And while that may be a laudable goal, not all kids may be college-bound, and that's okay. And I hope we can get to that place. But they still may need a career, a trade, and you're looking to help children, young adults that may be on a career tech path, which is okay. Talk to us about what you're doing
and
on that
again,
front.
I think my school board experience informs me
Right.
to the point that we closed a lot of those opportunities. Today, I think you would look at the SHOP programs and think that they would have to be different anyway, but apprentice programs for whether we need a lot of people who can work with their hands. We need plumbers, we need mechanics, we need engineers at many different levels. And so what we are seeking really in that field, we just passed a career tech bill, but what I'm looking at is what can we do to establish the kind of equity that we have in these programs. We want to be sure that every young person who wants to go into the tech field has that opportunity, and for some reason they haven't been pushed aside and maybe not be thought of as someone who could go into that area. So we need to track some of this. We need to provide more information so young people can look up, and see where it is that they are likely to want to go.
When you come back, I would love to speak with you about the update on career tech and tracking equity progress.
Sure.
Her name is Susan
Great.
Davis. She is a member of the United States Congress, representing significant portions of San Diego County, where we are today. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.